Hi there, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Making the Most of Your Marketing Budget. We have a lot of great tips here that we're really excited to share with you, so let's go ahead and get started. But first, a quick introduction. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Kirsch. I am the Shopping Feeds team lead here at Volusion with a little more than 5 years of experience managing paid search campaigns in Google AdWords.
And I'm Sean O'Connor, a senior search marketing specialist working with Adam here at Volusion. We're here in Austin, Texas, and pretty excited to talk about some of the marketing budget techniques we're going to go to today.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so a quick agenda that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to start with a little overview of some of the terms and different types of paid advertising that we're going to be talking about, and then really going into the meat of our webinar today to talk about how to better spend your marketing budget. We're going to be breaking that up into two main sections. I'll be talking primarily about not spending money that isn't converting, and Sean will tackle identify and invest in areas of success. Now, both of those sound pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to be going a little deeper into each section with some specific ideas, some tips and examples to help you maximize the bang for your marketing buck.
So we're going to be talking a lot about the best way to invest your marketing dollars, but we're also going to have a section at the end of the presentation where we talk exclusively about some free options as well. Many people wrote in that they've currently got a $0 budget or a very small one. So we're going to knock out a lot of the options that you guys can do today to get started. And as you can see there, we've got two question and answer sections. So feel free to type in any questions you have in the text box into GoToWebinar, and we'll be able to answer them at those times. Additionally, if you're on Twitter, the hashtag MKTGBudget that you'll see on the next slide is what you're using to talk with us.
All right, so you see that hashtag down there at the bottom if you want to engage with us on Twitter. But moving along here, we have a quick explanation of this term marketing spend, because we're going to be throwing that around a lot. So in a very broad sense, we're talking about the money that you're going to be spending on marketing, and we're here to talk about how best to spend that money and why. Now, because Sean and I deal with Google AdWords and PPC and shopping campaigns, we're going to be focusing a lot on those. But as Sean was saying, we're going to devote some time into a few other ideas as well. So by the end of this presentation, you'll not only have a firm grasp on these marketing channels and how they work, but also how to use them more effectively. Okay, so PPC ads. Those are text ads that show when you search for something on Google, and they run on what's called a pay-per-click form of advertising. So they're like old school newspaper ads with a headline and 2 lines of text with your store's call to action on there. And so PPC ads means that when someone clicks on one of these ads, the merchant is going to pay a small fee to Google as the advertising cost. Now, you're able to set the maximum amount that you'd like to be charged per click and also a daily budget, so you can ensure that you aren't being charged too much and that you're not spending any money that you're uncomfortable spending. A cool thing about these PPC ads is that they're going to be very flexible and customizable. So you get to write the ad copy, and you can highlight anything that you want to on your site, and you can advertise goods and services like plumbers or lawyers, or use your campaign to get people to call you on the phone or sign up for your newsletter, really anything that you want. And then finally, that last bullet point there, these campaigns are managed in what's called Google AdWords. Now, if you haven't heard of AdWords before or you don't have an account, it's pretty simple to set up. There's a lot of resources online to help you out. And we're going to take a look on the next slide to see what one of these ads looks like in the wild. So here we have an example of what a PPC ad looks like, just to give you an idea. So we did a search on Google for organic lemonade, which is going to be kind of the unofficial theme of this webinar.
It's the official theme of the webinar.
Yeah, okay. But you can see here that we have the PPC ad highlighted in red. And there's a small green box that says ad next to the URL there, but otherwise it looks very much like a regular organic listing. There's also links to recipes and where to buy. These are called site links, and they can take people directly to specific pages on your site. Now, it's worth mentioning that these ads take up that prime real estate at the top of the page. So this is going to be a great way to increase traffic to your site, as people are more likely to click on one of those top results rather than scrolling down further down along the page. We call that below the fold.
Below the scroll.
Yes. All right, so we talked a little bit about PPC. So next, a quick intro into what are called shopping feed ads. So with these types of ads, your products are really going to be front and center, and Google displays a lot of information. Your product's photo, title, and price. So prospective shoppers really have a great understanding of what you're offering. And they're also image-based, so it's going to be a really great fit for industries where there's a strong visual component to your products. Google gets all of this information from your store from what's called a data feed file. This is essentially a spreadsheet with all of the applicable info that you upload to Google. So now there are some similarities and differences from PPC here. So like with PPC, we're going to be using Google AdWords and run on that same pay-per-click model, but shopping ads are all about comparison shopping. So your products are shown alongside similar items from other stores, and shoppers can see how your offers compare to other sites. And additionally, there's some differences with how Google uses keywords, but we have a whole section developed, devoted data to that, so we can go a little more in depth. But on this next slide, we're going to take a look at what a shopping ad looks like. So here we have an example of just that. Now, this screenshot should look familiar. It's the exact same one that we used before, but now I have the shopping ad highlighted. So you'll see that we have some great pictures of products here. We have the price listed, and some of them even show star ratings and reviews. And the second one shows free shipping. So you can really see that we have a lot of information about our products here, and everything is geared towards that comparison shopping mindset. Anything you can do to stand out in the crowd here is going to be very beneficial to you. So you can see that the first two shopping ads here are actually for the same product, but they have a different price. I don't know how they did it, but someone was actually able to undercut Walmart. But Walmart does list that free shipping, and that may be relevant for some people. You know, people might want to go ahead and click on that ad over the other one because free shipping is important to them.
Now that we've got the introduction out of the way, we're going into the heart of the webinar and start with section 1. Don't spend money that isn't converting. In this section, we're going to be identifying ways to improve your advertising campaigns by reducing extraneous ad spend and minimizing that traffic that's not ending in a sale.
That's right, Sean, so thanks. First up, we're going to be talking about what are called bid settings. So remember, with these ads that we're talking about, you're able to set the maximum amount that you want to be charged per click, but not all clicks are going to be created equal. So in AdWords, we're able to change our bids based on a few different criteria, such as time of day, day of the week, and browsing device. So this is a great way to trim some of the fat off of your campaign. So for example, and we've had people write in about this, asking about B2B stuff. So if you're primarily a B2B store, it might not make sense for you to have your ads running outside of normal business hours or over the weekends. Or if your business experiences any kind of seasonality, you can bid differently during your slow season so that you aren't wasting as much money when you don't expect as high of a turn of profit. Also, consider phones and tablets. So users are going to have a different experience with your site based on the device that they're using, and you can use that information to adjust your bids accordingly. The last bullet point here highlights a unique strength of shopping feeds, and that's that we can get really granular with our bids, getting down to each individual SKU. So you can look at the data that you have there, look at the information, and see exactly which products are eating up your budget and cannibalizing your budget and not really giving you much of a return. You can drop those bids and maybe remove those products from your feed entirely. So let's take a look at some examples of these techniques next. Okay, so this is an example of a client that I'm working with right now that sells high-end office furniture. So you'll see that we're in the settings section of AdWords and in the device section. Over time working with this merchant, we were noticing that mobile traffic was just not converting for them, and they were paying for a lot of traffic that was not doing a whole lot. Now, this is a very extreme example, but we decided to decrease bids on mobile devices by 90%. Traffic on tablets is also less profitable than on desktop computers, but we are still seeing some conversions there. You'll see over in the right column over there that they have 3 conversions. So we're only decreasing our bids there by 50%. Now, the great thing about doing something like this, organizing your bids by device, is that it's very simple to do and it can have a big impact on how much money is being spent and where it's going. So let's look at another example here on the next slide. So we're in the settings section again, and this is where we can create what's called an ad schedule. So this is the same client. Their site primarily sells B2B. They still get orders over the weekends, but not nearly as much as we were seeing during the regular work week. And because of this, we decided to decrease bids by 60% on both Saturday and Sunday. And during the work week, you can't see it on there right now, but we've also decreased bids early in the day and late at night. This makes us hyper-focused during the times when we know that a conversion is going to be more likely. And when we pair that with the mobile and tablet adjustments, this has proven to be a very successful tactic. Now, I've said a lot here. Sean, do you have anything you'd like to add to?
Regarding bid settings, one of the more crucial ones that I like to use is the location-based setting. Google allows you to set different bid parameters based on locations as small as zip codes. So for people who have brick and mortar stores and want to move to that true brick and click model, they can advertise a little bit differently by spending more to the people in their local area. What's great about that is you can really get to the people who are likely to walk into your shop, as well as also exclude locations such as internationally that just aren't going to convert.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you know, if we're increasing based on location, we can have that be targeting mobile devices, so we can get people that are maybe walking by our storefront too. So that's really cool. But moving along here, I'm going to be talking about Google Merchant Center. So if you're running a shopping feed campaign, you're probably pretty familiar with this, and you know that this is where you submit that data feed file that I mentioned earlier. You get all of your product information and send that to Google, and you can see any errors or issues that Google might have with your site or products. Now, this is going to become pretty crucial, and it's a good idea to check in periodically and make sure that your top performing products aren't being disapproved for any reason. So to check on individual products and address any issues, you want to click on the Products tab in Merchant Center and then select Diagnostics. We have an example of that on this slide here. So this is what the Diagnostics section in Merchant Center can look like. Now, I chose this example because there's a little bit of everything that's going on here. You can see that we have a number of products that have been disapproved for various reasons in the red section there, like invalid images or items that don't have a global trade item number, or it's called a GTIN or GTIN. If you have a merchant center that looks something like this and you want to take a deeper dive into those issues, you can download a spreadsheet detailing all of those issues by clicking on the arrow icon over there on the right that I have highlighted in red. Now, the crucial part here is to make sure that your best performing products, the ones that you know are going to be your best sellers, are not in the red, literally, that they're not being disapproved. And now that we've talked about some of this feed stuff, we're going to pivot real quick to PPC and talk about keywords. Okay, so these are keywords. They are words or phrases that we have examples of highlighted over there on the left. And these are going to be related to the product or service that you sell on your site. Now, your ads can trigger whenever someone on Google searches for something that contains these words that you designate. So you're telling Google specifically, when someone searches for organic lemons, I want to be in the mix. It's important to mention here that, that there are different types of keywords, and that keywords are only going to be applicable to those PPC text ads that we mentioned earlier. We'll get a little bit more into how keywords work with shopping feeds in a bit. But as an example here, if again we're that site that sells lemons or lemonade, we might use keywords like organic lemons, farm fresh fruit, and healthy citrus. So by using these phrases in AdWords, we're telling Google some things about our site. A tip here though, you see that second bullet point. The biggest mistake that we see in some campaigns that we're taking over is merchants using very broad, generic keywords. So the more broad a keyword is, the higher likelihood there is of it being hyper competitive with more people bidding on it, which only is going to drive up click costs and eat through your budget more quickly. So instead of being broad like that, you want to think about unique or specific things that you can include in your keywords in order to bring competition and costs down. If you're unsure about how to do that or where to start, it's a good idea to kind of look at your site's flow and categorization structure, look at the way that you're grouping products together, and think about words and phrases and keywords that you can use for those sections. It really helps you make logical sense of grouping similar products together and bidding on them in a very similar way. Okay, so to make sure that you aren't accidentally spending your budget in a suboptimal way, it's important to understand that there are different types of keyword match types. Now, these are different types of different keywords require different situations. So broad match over there on the left is going to reach the largest audience. It is the default keyword type. With this type, your ad is eligible to appear when a search query includes any word in your keyword or phrase in any order. So if we set the phrase lemonade drinks to broad match there, you can see that your ad could show up if a user searches for soft drinks, and that's because it contains the word drinks. Or we could show up for Lemonade by Beyonce because the word lemonade is in the search term as well. So because broad match gets the widest possible audience, it's pretty likely that you're going to be matched with some irrelevant search terms like that. And people clicking on your ads, they might click on it accidentally or something. That can rack up costs pretty fast. So it's very important to be extremely careful when using broad match. We actually suggest that you don't use it at all, and instead use something like a modified broad match, which helps fix some of those issues. What this does is we're telling Google that certain words must appear in the search term. So to use the previous example, if we use the term lemonade drinks as our keyword again, but you'll see we have plus words there, or plus signs there, sorry, in front of each word, that's telling Google that the words have to appear in a search term. So you'll see that the example that we have there shows that the ad can show for lemonade drinks for picnics because the phrase contains both the word lemonade and the word drinks. Phrase match is next. We denote that with quotation marks. This is saying that the phrase that you specify has to be in the query, but it can contain other words as well. So for example, if we did a phrase match of lemonade drinks, someone could find your ad if they searched for lemonade drinks near me or pink lemonade drinks. And then over there on the right, exact match, which we use brackets, that is exactly what it sounds like. Users only have the chance to see your ad if and only if they search for the exact word or phrase that you've specified. So it's a good idea to get an understanding of these different keyword match types and use them in different situations for your campaign. We have an example of an account on the next slide here. So this is just a visual so that you can kind of see what this practice can look like in AdWords. So this is a site that sells a variety of backpacks and bags and is one of the sites that our PPC team is currently working on. You can see in this screenshot that we have a variety of different match types being used, And notice that we are not using generic, broad keywords or the broad keyword type at all. So after working with this client, we identified some important selling points on this merchant's site, like the fact that their backpacks and bags can be monogrammed and personalized. So we really wanted to focus on that particular aspect, and we made sure to use search terms that have to include words like personalized and monogrammed. We told Google that those words had to be in there. And also just there up at the top, we have some clickable links so that you can explore a little bit more and learn a little bit more about these match types, read a little bit more on them. You can't click those links right now, but after this presentation is over, we're going to be sending the slides out, and you'll be able to click on those links and read up a little bit more about these different keyword match types if you'd like to have that opportunity. All right, so next, there is another kind of keyword that we wanted to go over, and that is negative keywords. Now, these can be used both for PPC and in shopping feeds. So it's important to kind of pay attention here. This is something that you use to make sure that your ads do not show up for something that you, for a particular search term. So going back to the lemon example, as always, if the word lemon is a well-known slang term for a piece of junk car. So it's possible that if you're bidding on all of these terms that are related to lemons, if you're using broad match again, you might find your ads showing up for some weird searches for used cars or lemon laws. Additionally, like we mentioned before, Beyonce has that album called Lemonade. If you haven't heard it, my wife is a big fan, highly recommends it. She thinks it's pretty banging. But so without negative keywords, your ads can be showing up when people search for things like that. So it could also be a good idea to use negative words like recipes, so that your ads aren't showing up for recipes that use lemons if you don't want to be. So these are all examples of where things could go over pretty badly if people start clicking on your ads by accident, or if you're getting matched with some weird search terms, which would cost you a whole lot of money. So, you may be thinking, that's great, we have some negative keywords for lemons, but what are some negative keywords that I can use right now? I am very happy that you asked. So here we have a list of common negative keywords to get you started. So in a lot of industries, we recommend using negative keywords like Amazon, Craigslist, and eBay, or the terms cheap, refurbished, and reviews. And that's because, generally speaking, people searching for deals on Amazon, Craigslist, and eBay, they're looking for those specific marketplaces. And they're going to be low converters on other e-commerce sites. And people searching for cheap or refurbished products are looking for the best deal out there, and you might not be able to match the price point that they're looking for, or that they might find somewhere else, especially if it's a used product. And people searching for reviews might not be very far along in the buying cycle, and they're not ready to buy right now. So those are some good examples. Sean, did you have any other ones?
Other great negative examples would be like how-tos. I like the ones that are further up in the buying cycle. As you mentioned, we don't want to advertise people who are not coming to our site, so we get the top row out of the way. But your most common negative keywords are going to be those that you've found from your site, those that acquire lots of clicks and no conversion. So everyone's list of negative keywords is going to be different after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is my last slide here. We saved the best for last. This is runaway ad spend. So obviously we're concerned with two big numbers, and that's transactions and revenue. But we also want to consider things like cost per conversion and average order value. So this is a pretty simplified way to look and see if a campaign is being successful. So if I'm making one conversion for every $20 I'm spending, that's great information. But if those orders are only $15 on average, that's going to be a problem. So if your average order value is lower than where you'd like for it to be, it might be a good time to invest in promoting your higher ticket items, or remove some of your cheaper items from being advertised at all. If your cost per conversion metric isn't in a good place, look for ways that you can cut spending using some of the tips that we were talking about earlier. Another good metric to look at is impression share. What that is, this is Google's estimation of how often your ads are being shown versus how often they could be shown. So if your impression share is low, you might want to think about increasing your bid so that you can have a little more chance to get that exposure. And always consider your profit margins. You know, it sounds like common sense, but I've seen a lot of things in the time that I've been working here. Even some pretty successful clients sometimes forget to consider the cost of their own goods when looking at the campaign and trying to determine if it's being successful or not. So you want to keep a lot of things in mind, all of your expenses, not just with your advertising campaign, but outside of it too. Look for your credit card statements and know when you're going to be billed for all of these recurring services that you may be using, and use this information to set a realistic goal for your marketing efforts and keep all your budgets and expenses in mind. It really does go a long way.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for listening to Adam speak for about the last good 20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the first half of this webinar and take some questions that have been coming in. If you guys haven't asked any questions yet, please feel free to use that GoToWebinar chat box that appears on the right-hand side of your screen. We're going to go ahead and answer a few of those now while we have the chance. One of the first ones that came in from Dean recently and says, if you use very specific search terms, does it make your ads more expensive? The answer to this is no. Specific keywords themselves don't make your ad more expensive. Using broad match or different types of match types can influence the cost of your ad, however. If anything, very specific search terms in exact match or phrase match will be a little bit cheaper because there's less competition. Lower search impression share means that there's less people in your marketing space. If you're just advertising for shoes or Nike, something along those lines, there's a lot more people in that space, so it wants to be a lot tougher. If you're selling teak wood bass guitars, a little bit more specific, you can bid less on that and still get very highly qualified traffic.
Yeah, the thing to take away here is that AdWords is an auction, and so the more broad keywords that we use, the likelihood that more people are going to be bidding on that. So more specific is really going to be the better way to go in everything. Yeah.
Melvin asks, if you don't advertise on Google, are your products in the Google's Merchant Center, that screenshot Adam showed earlier with the green and yellow and red lines? The answer to that is unfortunately no. You need to submit a data feed specifically to Google so they have your product information. Google will crawl and index your site for SEO purposes, found a lot through the Google Webmaster Tools, formerly Google Search Console, or the other way around. However, to get the level of specificity of your products required in the Google Merchant Center, you submit a data feed specific to that function.
Tim asks, how do I know my investment in marketing is actually working? This is going to be something that we're going to be covering a lot in the second section of our webinar. Sean is going to be talking a lot about that one. So Tim, if you're out there, pay attention. It's going to be great.
What options do I have for e-sig companies? Michael, yes, we are not allowed to use AdWords or anything like that. Michael, we're going to discuss some of your free options to start advertising at the end of this webinar. Because you're not allowed to use AdWords, and a lot of other industries aren't as well, guns, tobacco products, similar things like that, adult content, you're just not allowed to do that because we can't ensure that we're not advertising to people who are under 18 years old. What you'll need to do is focus on social media and SEO, building out a community and making sure that Google recognizes you and wants to bring that traffic to your site.
Yes, and I guess this is just going to be the last question that we answer here before we get into section 2. Stefan asks, should I spend money on Google AdWords or is it a waste? You know, I would say that it's a good thing to try out, depending on what your industry is. But the thing about AdWords is that with these ads, you're able to set it up and get a lot of results quickly. So you can see if it's going to be, you know, working for you pretty quickly. You can get data from it very quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of our customers and merchants are very, very successful on Google AdWords. And it's for a reason. I think that if you're marketing long term, you need to consider how to be on Google. We're trying to beat the big guys. We're trying to beat Amazon and eBay. We're going to need to have some teeth eventually. So getting onto Google AdWords is crucial. Can you waste money there? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But it is in it of itself is not. One quick little follow-up question before we go into section 2. Cami asked, I missed the first half of this webinar. Will this be recorded? Yes, we'll be posting this webinar as well as its slide deck onto a blog in the coming week, so you guys can review this content at your leisure.
All right, now Sean.
I'm going to head over to section 2 of identifying and investing in areas of success. We've covered the areas that show opportunity for improvement, but now we're going to pivot and discuss what to do when things are going well. Our mini agenda for the next couple of minutes will include how to define success for your business, bid optimization techniques for those converting campaigns, and a bit about landing pages. And finally, we're going to talk about how to ramp up those successes. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So first and foremost, we're going to need to define what it means to have a successful marketing strategy. A complete holistic marketing strategy is going to include more goals than just conversions. So if you're just getting started or you're really well established, you should be thinking about success in more than just a number of conversions mentality. We're going to talk about analytics and tracking. Christian asked during the sign-up process about different ways to track campaigns. I'm going to discuss 3 separate options for you. And lastly, we're going to talk about how we can get some of this data out of your site. The big picture here is that you should be using your site's analytics to inform your marketing practices and track everything. You'll be able to define your success by analyzing your data and moving on from there. The best way to define success will be to use Google Analytics. It's the best analytic product on the market. It's simple to install, completely free, and provides such a wealth of information. There's no reason why it shouldn't be on your site right now.
Yesterday.
Analytics is such a large and expansive program that if you're not getting into it today, but want to look, we're not going to get into it today, but we've got a lot of past webinars and blogs that will teach you how to use this great product. Let's hop over to something that you guys can use right now that hit a little bit closer to home. Your Smarter Stats section, seen in the upper left, are like an analytics light, which can be accessed through your my.volusion.com account under the View Stats section. This page is going to show you the traffic data, which includes crawling bots who are coming to your site, which pages are the most popular, what are your largest files, and other handy information. I prefer analytics, but for a quick snapshot, your my.volusion.com stats will do. The other great resource to monitor your marketing efforts is the Click ID feature of the Reports ROI tracking section here in the bottom left. This feature will provide you a snippet of a URL, and it looks just like this in the picture, that you simply put at the end of your URL that you want to track. Whenever someone clicks on this particular link, it will show up as such in the ROI tracking section. You can create all sorts of different click IDs to test different links, such as a newsletter or a different ads, so you can see which of your advertising campaigns is the most effective. Lastly, and the best aspect of tracking, an order conversion tracking script. Here's a screenshot of the code that you'll add into your article 130. That's the ROI JavaScript's order finished page that can only be accessed after the payment portal. With AdWords tracking, we can see which of our ads is leading people to the checkout, not just to the site. So without these tracking scripts, you won't be able to get into that nitty-gritty of why people are checking out. To access this script and to install to your site, head over to our Help Center and search up conversion tracking. All of the scripts are right there for you to simply copy and paste into your store.
All right, and I wanted to say one thing about the Click ID screenshot in the bottom left. You'll see that we have the total sales there, that 548 number in blue. If you click on that, it'll take you directly to those specific orders, so you'll be able to see the revenue there, and you can get real tangible data as to how the campaign is doing.
Absolutely. What's great about that is seeing the orders, you can actually see which products are in their cart as well to truly determine which of those are being most effective. Speaking of most effective, let's look at some opportunities when it comes to optimizing your bid strategy. Adam discussed a few areas earlier about spending money where you don't want to, like too much on your mobile clicks that don't convert. But what's the flip side of that? Well, if I see an item that's converting well in Google Shopping, we can make 2 types of product optimizations: landing page optimizations and bid adjustments. It's pretty obvious, but when you're seeing marketing success, go ahead and hit that gas pedal. Increasing a CPC on an already top-performing product can increase its impression share and its market share, which means it's going to appear in more search results, getting in front of a wider audience. With a decent click-through rate and conversion rate, we're bettering our opportunity for more conversions. It's as simple as that. So as the adage goes, you're going to need to spend a little money to make a little money. So the takeaway here is to funnel your budget into better performing products from the get-go. The full effect of raising your bids on better performing products can be pretty substantial. One is Google is always going to like seeing that you're spending more money for its quality score. Two, we're going to be controlling more of that online real estate, which is great on mobile devices where the screen is so small. And third, we're going to be spending money where we know it's converting rather than spending it on other items. An ideal campaign or ad group in this system would be just your top performing products, an entire group dedicated to products that have been proven effective. In some cases, though, we can have something called bid cannibalization occur. This happens when a segment accrues more clicks than it should be based on the data we're getting. It could be a single product line, it could be all of your mobile traffic, or a particular brand. When cannibalization occurs, we like to split those products apart into two different campaign types. From there, we can monitor and set two different types of daily budgets, and this allows things to grow differently. So the ad takeaway is, once you start to see converters or items taking money, move it along by moving it to standalone sections and segment it differently. This leads us of how to invest in areas of success, changing up our landing pages. So what do you do when you know that a category is the most popular page of your website? You go ahead and drop into the GoToWebinar chat box some of the things that you've done for your store. A category page that was just linked to a forum in your industry, or a social media influencer linked to one of your items on their Facebook page, is just blowing up now. What would you do? Adam, what would you do?
I would try to get that in front of as many eyes as I could. I'd reach out on my own social media channels. If I have a blog, I'd blog about it. Maybe make it its own campaign in AdWords or something like that. Just anything that I can do to really spread the reach and focus of that.
I think that's a lot of stuff to do very, very quickly. What I would do is I'd take it a little bit smaller and test something that I like to refer to as micro KPIs. Not just me refer to this is the phrase. A KPI is a key performance indicator, and a micro KPI is a small goal of change that isn't quite a conversion. So what you can do here is, when you know that a page is very popular, test different aspects on the page. Change a headline, change where your free shipping icon appears. Doing these small types of A/B tests may determine if your conversion rate goes up or down from there. So when we recognize that a different page is going to have a different success rate, a well-backlinked category may see more organic traffic than a product page through shopping feeds, which could be converting at a higher rate. So you're going to want to treat these pages differently and run different tests on them. We're going to want to look at their path flow, how people are interacting with your site, and let's go ahead and look at some of the ways we can gather some of this information to improve upon what we're seeing. The screenshot on this page is from the analytics section called Behavior Flow. This section is found in Analytics on the left-hand nav on the very, very bottom, and is dedicated to how users are interacting with your site. The behavior flow or path shows, as we see from the very top of the page, the starting landing page of a site, followed by where users are going from there. The landing page for this account, the most popular ones, are product pages, because they get most of their traffic from Google shopping feeds. So their product details page is the largest starting point. Luckily for us, the first interaction we see from there is the shoppingcart.asp page. That's that first little green link at the very tip top. Users have added something to their cart, but on the second interaction, you guys can see that things are starting to change up a little bit. Rather than flowing from the shoppingcart.asp page and going directly to the one-page checkout, a lot of users are going to a product details page. So what's happening here? What's happening is about this behavior flow, that people are hitting the back button and going to a product page again. Why is this? This is the kind of big question, why people aren't converting. Well, it's possible that they're looking for more information about the product, or your shipping costs are too high that they've seen, and it kind of scared them off. It scared them back into the page. Use this as an opportunity to add more information to the product page and ensure that your customers can make a more informed purchase. Build a better user experience for them. Speaking of user experience, let's go ahead and look at how to create some PPC-specific landing pages. Jennifer asked when she signed up that we get a lot of traffic, but not many sales. How can we convert our traffic into customers? This is another great question. Specific landing pages can help out a lot. When advertising, you generally A/B test different ads to see which is more effective in driving traffic and action by having different calls to action and different selling points. One ad may highlight a seasonal sale and the other free shipping. But for this example, let's assume that a seasonal ad is just way more effective by far. People are just straight up going to that page to save more money. What happens then? Well, a big opportunity to reinvest your marketing dollars will be to create a PPC-specific landing page highlighting the seasonal sale. So creating a new category under inventory category for the sale allows you to group all these products into a single, easily scrollable page with a category description, a banner image, that's just going to be more effective than a standard category. So Jennifer, an opportunity for you and just for everybody else will be make a helpful page, such as an article or such as a category, that can entice people, that engages with the traffic differently than your standard site will. Remove those pain points and create a call to action which is relevant to the page that they're on. Categories are easily hidden and created, so creating a single page for this is all about ramping up what we already know is working and leveraging that to more sales. So Kevin, we just had a question that came in, says, what is the best way to create a landing page for PPC and Volusion? Justin said, I would recommend a category page because it allows you to include those banner images, category description, and includes all of your products there. You can create an article page and link to your products, but if you're not displaying your products on your PPC landing page, I think you need to think about your goals a little bit differently. So now I can pop it over. We're going to talk about taking it to the next level. What to do when your marketing techniques are really growing and you're seeing success. I want to talk about a few that should be on your radar as we get closer to the holiday season and those that have been proven effective. So a huge marketing tool that I think people overlook these days is email marketing. And as such, thinking about remarketing and dedicated email marketing lists is still crucial. Your customer database is one of your most valuable assets. It's the pure potential of people coming to your site and buying something again. And as we know, it's much cheaper to retain customers than it is to acquire new ones. So we should leverage the ones that we do have into future sales again. Word of mouth marketing is still so widely popular that if someone has a great user experience on your site and they tell their friends, you're turning one customer into many. I'm a big fan of tools of MailChimp. They're pretty much the gold standard of email marketing to keep everything nice and tidy. But even a standard export from your Volusion database will do the trick. Export their first and last name, their email address, and whether they're a subscriber, and their order history. You can get a general idea of what people are buying when for a seasonal email newsletter. Pop right over to some other things. The obvious route after seeing success is going to be to expand. So if your AdWords accounts are creating sustainable revenue, paying for themselves and more, use this opportunity to grow into new areas. Move from Google onto Bing, onto Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all these different locations. If you're in fashion, go to Instagram. If you sell backyard grills, try promoted pins on Pinterest. Try new types of remarketing campaigns. Going wide with your marketing reach is great because you can always pull back as necessary. If a different engine or platform isn't converting, that's just fine. We can pull back and refocus our budget into areas where we know it's going to be. Another recommendation is to simply outsource the work entirely. It's a bit trickier to quantify, but if you will have the right idea of when to do it. Outsourcing the work to an expert who does this 40 hours a week means that your accounts can go into good hands to get the TLC that they deserve. Eventually, you're going to determine the time value of money where working on your account is just less effective for your marketing spend than hiring somebody to do it, because you could be better spending that time on the phones, managing your inventory, or shipping goods. So there's going to be a tipping point where it's just going to be cheaper and more effective to bring in an extra buy to work on those campaigns and manage it yourself.
All right, so thank you, Sean. Now we're going to turn our attention to that third part of the webinar that we were talking about, which is game plans for every budget. So if you asked us earlier about the different levels of ad spend, now is when we're going to be talking about that. So now we've talked about some ways for cutting costs and expanding in areas of growth, but we also got a lot of questions before the webinar where people were saying, I have this amount of money, what should I do with that? So we wrote a few ideas and some mini strategies for some of these different levels. We have a $0 or a very low marketing budget, $300 a month, and a $3,000 a month budget. So let's take a look at some of those. So right here off the top, a $0 budget. What is the game plan going to be for marketing our new store or potentially an established store that has no current marketing budget? So first off, what we want to say is that you should focus on your site's SEO. That's search engine optimization. So SEO is it's a free long-term strategy, and it will help your site appear more authentic, both to potential shoppers and also to Google and other search engines themselves. There's a lot of free resources to learn about these things online and kind of increase your knowledge about SEO, so that's a great place to start. Secondly, you want to reduce costs elsewhere to make room. So if you're able to save something like $3 a day in the management of your site, that might not sound like a whole lot, but if that accrues up and you have $100 a month, that's a little bit more. So think about ways that you can make a small impact which will grow into a much bigger one, and then maybe you'll be able to have the dollars to invest in marketing. And then email marketing, we can use Volusion's built-in newsletter feature. It's going to be pretty standard here. You want to use your customer list to be proactive. You can do the downloading that Sean was talking about where you get people's names and email addresses. That's going to be a great asset. You can turn to social media for more engagement. Create a page that you want people to follow and focus on building your community. And then lastly, Google Analytics. Analytics all day, every day, all the time. It's much discussed, but it's free and it's free to install. There's no reason not to be on it. You get a lot of great information from it. It's great.
Now, analytics should be crucial because if you're just getting started, you need to get this information before you want to have the proper information before getting to start it to know where to put your money, be it into AdWords or Facebook. So as we start to talk about marketing spend, if you guys want to, in the GoToWebinar chat, put your industry or what you sell, more or less, and how much you're thinking about spending, and we'll try to address some opportunities and avenues for that type of growth.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so moving on, a $300 a month budget. This is generally the lowest that we'll want to get people started using Volusion services. It seems like quite a bit, and it kind of is, but when you think about that as $10 a day, you can really see where that can go. So something like a cost per click of 50 cents, if we're running $10 a day, that means that that's only 20 new customers a day. So we need to make sure that we can make that count. So what we want to do with a $300 monthly budget is focus on one thing right now and put that $10 a day to just that. We don't want to be spreading ourselves too thin by trying to do too many things right at the start. Additionally, a $10 a day budget will allow you to kind of test the waters a little bit and see what's working more effectively. And you can start small with this. Find the advertising platform that you're comfortable with and work hard at it and give it time. So when you start your first campaign, don't go expecting to hit that $10 budget right at the start. In fact, I wouldn't recommend that. You can always spend that money and Google will definitely take it, but instead start very small. What's the lowest amount that you can spend and still bring in qualified traffic? Figure out that number and then raise it a little bit to see what that does. Raise it a little bit more and see what kind of traffic you can generate. Starting out guns blazing it's really going to likely lead to that runaway ad spend that we were talking about earlier.
Speaking of starting small here, we got a few of the people for putting in their industries and their spend, so thank you for that. Jackie says that she's selling fresh pasta and has about $100 per month to get started with. Now, as we kind of mentioned earlier, this is about $3 per day. So an avenue that I would recommend, there's two options here. One is I think that a very highly visual inline Facebook ad, a social ad, would be very effective for you. Additionally, because this is fresh pasta, people buying this are probably, think about your customer persona. I assume it's someone who's more interested in organic and local things. So maybe an advertising campaign, a PPC text ad that focuses purely on your zip code would be great. Even though you may ship all across the United States, focusing into just your town and establishing a foothold there with a $3 a day ad spend, I think would be more effective. When you've got about $3 a day or $100 a month, you need to think about the number of your CPCs, because if your cost per click is 50 cents, that's only 6 new people to your site per day with that type of ad spend. So what we need to do is get in front of a highly engaged audience. Doing that with a Facebook ad of finding pasta fans or local people is a great way to get started with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Some other people who have come along that have said other marketing spends, who get a vitamin and supplement up to $500. Vitamins and supplements on the Google Ad Network are a little bit tricky, particularly for text ads of the specific words and phrases that are allowed in a text ad for vitamins and supplements are a little bit tricky. So I would recommend Google Shopping for you. Healthcare people, comparison shopping agent, you could be drop shipping this, so it's a great opportunity to be on Google Shopping and spend $500 a day. That's a very healthy budget to get started with a data feed there and grow from there. Yeah, let's just pop over. Well, we're going to come back to some of these as well, but we're going to talk about the big dogs for just a little bit. Let's assume that you have a $3,000 monthly budget. Now, if this is a large, healthy marketing spend to work with, then it means that your store has grown and evolved to take on some new programs. So with this type of ad spend, we're going to look at how you can do things omni-channel. And this means being everywhere on Google. A marketing allowance of this size means that you should be running simultaneous campaigns on the Google Search Network with PPC ads, including a branded campaign, which is just a campaign about yourstore.com, your personal brand. You should be running a Google Shopping image-based ads, and you should also be running remarketing ads on the display network. Those large image ads that chase people around who have been to your website before. Second, you should definitely expand to Facebook. Facebook video in particular, I saw during a presentation at South by Southwest this last year, that is still the cheapest CPM model, and CPM means a cost per 1,000 views. So Facebook is still very, very cheap to advertise on for video. So think about creating some video content there to see how you can expand. Lastly, I think you should really upgrade your tools. With this type of ad spend, a bottleneck could be your data management. So if you're thinking about using QuickBooks or AdWords Editor or a free tool, there are some things that you can do to make your workflow just simple and a little bit better. So think about where you're struggling and remove the pain points for yourself. So where to get started? Some real tangible takeaways for just getting going. Well, first, there's the AdWords Cashback Rewards Program. So Google is always very much a pay-to-play situation, but they have a matching program that once you spend $150 on AdWords trying it out, you're going to get essentially a refund of that, or they're going to match your ad spend for that account. So that essentially doubles your budget when just getting going, and it's free to get in there. Second, I said this a little bit earlier, word of mouth marketing. Still the most effective type of e-commerce advertising and marketing in general. You need to engage a community and grow from there. And third, get your materials ready. Analytics should have been installed yesterday. We've got the resources in the Help Center articles and our blog that you can get this data so that when you're willing and ready to spend money, everything's going to be ready for you to have the success that you know you can find. You want to talk about some free things to do?
Yeah, that leads us into some free things to do. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. Work on that SEO. You can get really granular with the way that you're doing that. You can work on individual category pages or even product pages. Take advantage of Instagram stories. This is a way to kind of boost your social media presence. You can show videos of people using your products, engaging with them, maybe having fun with them. Really can paint your business to be kind of fun-loving or really just engage with people a little more. Make the most of those ad credits that Sean was talking about, those Google AdWords ad credits. You know, if you're new signing up, it's possible that you get $100 free. Great, use that. Social media reposting, really just being out on all platforms of social media that makes sense for your business. always a good thing to do. Anything that just kind of increases the reach of your brand and gets yourself in front of more eyes. And then also email marketing. Gonna harp on it a little bit, but it's a free, easy thing to do. And it's still, you know, a lot of people say that they don't read those emails or that they click or they just like send them to spam, but it's still something that's going to be very effective for the amount of energy that you're putting into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, in the next 5 minutes or so before this webinar comes to a conclusion, we're going to hit up some of those questions that have been coming in. So thank you very, very much for dropping off. I think I'm going to kind of work backwards in time and address some of the more recent questions first. Mark, you've recently asked, with Google AdWords, how can you guarantee to be the first on the page or even at the top of the list? Is there a way to guarantee it? No. I want to say it. So yes, you can guarantee to be on the first. You can throw money at Google. The way to be the very top ad is your quality score, and that's a mix of how effective your ad is, such as the click-through rate, the time on site after the user interacts with it, as well as your bid. The two things here are working hand in hand. If your site is very, very new, your quality score is going to be a little bit lower because it doesn't have the trust, relevancy, and authority that Google comes to recognize. Nike can appear at the very top of searches for their branded term because it's a huge site that has been around forever. Now, the flip side of this, the other thing that goes with quality score is that bid. If you are selling a $2 coffee cup and willing to bid $50 on it, Google is going to take that money. So yes, you can guarantee a top spot, but it's really not about getting to that spot. You may find it to be more effective in the second spot, where click-through rates can sometimes be a little bit higher on mobile devices. Being at the very tip top isn't always the best. Think about other ways to get there.
Yeah. When we were asking for industries and kind of the amount of money that you're looking to spend, we have someone saying that they sell college athletic apparel and have $300 a month. This is something that is going to be perfect for investing in shopping feeds. That's a great monthly budget to focus on that. And with shopping feeds, we're able to you know, designate, it works really well with apparel because we're able to designate different sizes and different colors of the apparel that we're working with. And, you know, college apparel is the type of thing that people are going to be searching for, and there's going to be a lot of results. So really, like, looking at that comparison shopping model is going to be a really great avenue for that.
Absolutely, in this like back to school season.
Yeah.
We're lucky is going back to college, but specifically a lot of their parents are like getting ready as well. I think that's a kind of an untapped market. You don't want to advertise just to the 19-year-old kids who don't have money. You want to get their parents who are setting them off to those college so they can wear the same kits and jerseys when they go visit in the fall.
Yeah.
Question from Mir. I'm a wholesaler. What platform should I be on to attract retail customers? I don't like going to Facebook. Get started for like if you're apparel, something like that. I think Google PPC ads are the most effective way to get started. If you don't have a visual-based medium to use Google Shopping, a PPC text ad with long tail keywords, those keywords or phrases that are a little bit more specific, I think is the best way to get started.
Yeah, we had some social media questions here. Are there any guarantees of returns because Facebook ads didn't work? So unfortunately, you know, Facebook ads might never really guarantee sales. Of course, we want our Facebook ads to be as successful as possible, but the journey to your first sale can take a couple months maybe. But Facebook ads will catapult your brand into the feeds of relevant people that are interested or like things that are related to your site. It doesn't always necessarily mean that they'll convert though, but that's why running Facebook ads in conjunction with other marketing efforts like that SEO, like that PPC, that's why that's going to be important. So it's definitely possible to profit off of Facebook ads, but in the beginning, you know, it's really used more as like a brand awareness tool, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Question from Chris, is there a universal amount that is generally too little of a budget to make a difference? No. I mean, all it takes is 1 cent of a penny to bring in someone who converts and keeps converting. That said, when you think about the CPC model, a $10 a day budget is a nice ballpark, but when people come to marketing services with us, we recommend a minimum of about $20 a day. This can ensure that we're getting in the quality traffic to help inform our marketing decisions as we move forward.
Yeah, the thing there is, we want to think about, the cost per conversion that we're talking about too. So if you're doing $10 a day, think about just kind of like what's the average order value that you're experiencing on your site, how expensive are your products and things like that, so you can turn a profit.
Absolutely. So I apologize for all of the other questions that we weren't able to address. We'll have a follow-up blog post to knock out some of these, all very, very good. Thank you guys for putting in all of your industries. If you guys have any more questions that you want to talk to somebody on the phone with, if you want to talk to Adam and myself, you can give us a ring at 1-888-750-3996 to take advantage of some of our promos. We got some new stuff coming up, including a free setup for a 3-month prepaid or a 6-month free package on our PPC or shopping feeds. So if you want to hear these two dulcet voices for the next few months through the holiday shopping season, give us a call. We'll try to help you guys out. Thank you very much for attending today.
All right. Thank you, everybody.